It's the Green Rush Nation podcast. I just had the bluest dream that you've ever seen, and I can't believe that shit was green, cause it hit so clean, and my history is a mystery. I don't give a fuck, I just hit the tree on the 5th degree. We don't pit for free. If you don't got 5 shit, get up and leave. It's the Green Rush Nation podcast.
Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back with another episode of the Green Rush Nation podcast. I'm your boy B Guns. Today we have a very special guest, someone who's been in the industry, and he's a loud voice, so you probably know who he is. It's our friend Elliot from Catalyst.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Of course, brother.
Really glad to be here and shoot the shit for a little bit.
For sure. I know your travels in weren't the easiest, so we appreciate you coming out for us.
LA traffic, what you gonna do?
Fucking
if you don't like the traffic, you gotta move. So
that's true. That's one thing I've gotten used to, but still some days I'm like, what the fuck, bro?
It was bad out there right now.
Yep. So we here on the Green Rush Nation podcast, we don't want to just know about your business ventures and what you've done because it's great stuff, but we want to know about you personally. So do you remember your first encounter with marijuana and how did you consume it?
I do. I think it was the summer going between 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
And there was you travel like little packs back then. So there was 10 dudes in the 8th grade crew. And then we were probably like 15, 20 deep. And there was some kids smoking on the bay, with toilet paper roll, the whole tinfoil little get up.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was the 8th graders. I think they were going maybe in the 9th. Maybe I was going into 8th. And there was 3 of us. It's funny who they were now in hindsight. But there was 3 of us that were like, all right, we'll go smoke some weed. So that was the first time. You had to put your hand over that side of the fucking toilet paper roll and smoke it. I don't really think I got that high the first time. Once I kind of found the bong and started doing that, then I figured it out. But, who knows if that toilet paper roll works. And back then, they had the brick weed and the whole deal. So it was not the
best.
Yeah, it wasn't the. I mean, you had your choice, but when you're 13, you don't realize that there's. There is a choice, right? Absolutely. You just take whatever the older kids got. So
that's the first we've had on here with the toilet paper roll. So congrats on that.
And on the beach, which I'm actually pretty good at smoking a wind because I smoked a lot growing up on the beach. Just from whatever bodyboarding a little bit and being under the pier and putting the towel over your head, so you get a little wind and the toilet paper roll. It's pretty hard to get super lit, but
for sure.
I will say the first time, and kids, I guess I'm there. I don't recommend this. Everybody develop their brain, but. First time I was asked, I said yes, is the short version. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah. I was a little hesitant, so it took me my friends had planned. They're like, yeah, we're going to go smoke tonight. And I was like, yeah, I'll chill, but I'm not smoking. And yeah, sure shit, I ended up smoking. They're like, do it. I'm like, nah. They're like, do it. I'm like, nah. They're like, do it. I'm like, nah, fuck it.
I think it took me a little while to start getting my second time. And then, by 9th grade, I was, pretty deep into smoking.
Yeah. So you were an early bloomer for sure. I had my touches in high school. But I really didn't like it at first. It gave me paranoia and fucking thought my mom used to drug test me too, which didn't help. She was making me randomly piss in a cup. So I'm like, fuck, she's going to know. So the first time I actually went home, I looked on the internet, how do you clear out your system? Because I thought she was going to drug test me. It's like, oh, drink a cup of vinegar. I poured a water bottle full of vinegar, drank that shit, and oh man.
It works though, right?
It definitely cleared me out. That's for damn sure.
I've tried to, we beat a few drug tests. And then when I was going to Berkeley, we had a guy in the track team. And I guess it must work because he beat him. He was a shot putter or something, big guy, and he had to drink 2. I've heard all sorts of shit, but it was 2 full gallons of water and then cranberry juice. And at that point, all your fat soluble shit would be put away.
That's crazy.
But if you don't drink the cranberry juice, there was ways to beat him back there. Then they had that eliminator shit I think they had growing up, and the shit you could buy at the head shop. So
now they got synthetic piss. You can literally just go. It comes with a hand warmer packet. You just go, heats it up. Because one thing they check for is the body temperature.
Right.
They make sure it's at temperature, and if it is, they kind of just let it go. But if it's not and something's off, they're like, what the fuck's going on here,
They've evolved. I like that. That's pretty good. Synthetic piss. And the good thing is now I don't have to drug test. In fact, being a weed CEO, it's really the only job, where you interview somebody and you ask them how much weed they smoke and
it's okay.
Yeah, you don't want the answer to be no, especially if they're bud tending. Maybe if they're a little higher up, doesn't matter. But, all your bud tenders got to smoke. Otherwise,
for sure.
What are they, what are you doing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, they got to know what they're selling.
Yeah.
So they got to be smoking. So how long, obviously you started when you were young. Did you always know you were going to be in marijuana? It sounded like you were an athlete as well.
Yeah, I played a little bit of sports, through high school. I was a decent high school athlete, but, I wasn't not anything spectacular.
Not going D1?
Dude. No.
Yeah.
I actually I tried to go Ivy League. Even then, I was too small. I was a little, I played hard. I was a decent little scrapper, but whatever.
Play football?
Yeah, I played football, baseball.
Beautiful.
Yeah, a little bit of soccer, but not as good at soccer. Then I was a little hustler when I got to school. I went to school up in Berkeley, so that was right around the time Prop 215.
Okay.
They it was literally right when the first time I could vote. They had passed it. And then from there, whatever, we were able to, it was real hard to get a medical card back then. You kind of had to know somebody. It was $150 and that money. So yeah, I'm guessing that's like $400, $500 bucks today, yeah. Right? So, that we were able to get that. And then that was a kind of a cool little scene up there, basically from whenever it was, 98, 99, Berkeley Patients Group opened. I was there hanging out deli style, then started to meet some more people. And again, I was doing everything back then. Like I was a little bookmaker. I was selling this, I was selling that, right? So, selling the weed came naturally. Then we put together, we got a house in El Cerrito Hills, which is a little outside of Berkeley. It had this basement. Okay. So we were growing like, we grew a little 3-lighter down there. And then, we knew some guys that had just graduated, had some connections out of Canada. So we were selling a little weed then, but just like small hustler shit. And then, I got away from it. I went traveling, and basically the whole 2000s, I pretty much missed, right? So that whole like era from whatever, say 2002, when I kind of started traveling to like, 2012, wasn't really paying that close attention. And then funny enough, my buddies from Berkeley, they stayed in it. So started growing again a little bit, was getting a little bit more open. They had passed the Obama doctrine or whatever it was. So we were stacking up, like patients of those things. Did some indoor grows down in LA. This is like 2013 now. Then we got up north in like 2014, 15, started doing bigger hoop house stuff. And then, the kind of the short version of where we got to where we are is at that point now, we got pretty big. There was 4 of us. We had probably like 50 hoop houses up over 5 properties. Like we were pretty, we were doing okay. It was different. It's a nice era too. Like, people weren't as sophisticated.
What did you go to college for, by the way?
Actually, my degree's in philosophy.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Just
makes sense.
I liked it. It was cool. I enjoyed it. It took me a while to land on that, but my folks were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, whatever. It's cool. It's kind of a nice major. I actually still enjoy today. I don't really read as much as I used to because you could listen to shit, but I still enjoy today. Listen to old philosophical stuff or strategies of war, kind of stuff like that.
Some Socrates.
Yeah, I do like a little Socrates. He's kind of the OG though, old school, but he was, he's the first really that kind of started to lay, not to get on that tangent, lay down the foundation for the whole thing. But yeah, that's so then I read the ordinance. This is like June of 2016. So we got like 4 indoor grows going in Compton and LA, and we got 5 things going up in the Bay, different partners. And so I'm like, I'm just going to try to get one of these stores. It's coming to my hometown, born and raised in Long Beach. Yeah. And, we applied for the 1. We ended up getting 6. So we sold off a couple too. And then, again, I just started off wanting to have 1 store. And then I linked up with Damian Martin, who's my co-founder, my brother. From there on it, after Long Beach, we just started going city by city. And, we never really had the politics, so we had to litigate our way in, get in on technicalities. About a third of the licenses we hold today, we scrapped our way through, unfriendly cities. But the cities all like us now because, we do good revenue and absolutely keep our places clean. We take care of our workers and all that stuff. But that's, that's the short history. And, to predict what's going to happen in the next 5 years, I don't even know. I wake up in the morning sometimes, I'm like, fucking taking this thing. We're going to march from California to New York, fucking next 30 years. And the next day I'm like, bro, who's got the bag? I'm tired, bro. I'm good. When can I get a bag?
It takes a lot, man. It takes a lot. So what really motivates you to get out there and fight the fight? I mean, there's a lot of shit going on and a lot of people not saying shit. What makes you speak up?
That's a good question, man. Like, why? I mean, look, and I've talked about this before. I mean, honestly, so Nate, who's here, off camera, we were really early on. We didn't have a marketing department. We were just trying to keep costs down, make the stores survive. And I was like, bro, I don't know. Do we need marketing, all this stuff and that? So we were driving around a little bit and he's like, dude, you should just like start saying this on the Instagram. And I'm like, whatever, people do that. And I was like, okay. So we just kind of started fucking around on Instagram a little bit. Like if you would have told me that was going to be on my bingo card, I would have been like, nah, no fucking way. Right. So, and then, from there, whatever, just, you see what's going on out there and it's like just ridiculous and none of it makes sense and just the greed and the grift and, sadly people that are in the industry are all making less than what they should. The customers getting ripped off, by the state, we move a fuck ton of money, right? And we end up with like, that much at the end of the day. And really we're just, kind of a de facto middleman for the government. And just to see it all play out, now I like it. It's kind of like, something I can lean on, get my thought out. If I have a thought, usually I try to drop one a day, but like not as a rule. But if I have a thought midday, I don't put much, thought in it. Just kind of put it out and do it. But I don't know how it started. I honestly don't even know why I do it. I'm going to have to fucking reflect on that one. But, if I had to say, it's just sad, man. The whole thing's like super sad. It's really sad to see people around you that you love not doing as well as, they could be doing. So, whatever, at least as long as I'm here, we try to push the industry forward, make a little money, push the industry forward best we can.
Absolutely. Speaking of it, I seen you at a lot of the social equity hearings. We went out to support just because, like you said, it's fucked up and we think that it should shine a light. But it's clear that they're not going to let us fight in court. So I think this is the next best option. We come to social media, they'll hear us. Somebody will hear us, They can't deny it at that point.
I just don't think they give a fuck.
True.
The sad part about these guys, generally speaking, they're mostly motivated, almost entirely by money and power, right? So, like, the issue I think the cannabis industry has, and what's cool about it, but as like a political matter, the issue is we just don't have 8-figure money to throw around and stomp on people, right? There's a reason why Southern Wine and Spirits is the only distributor in California, and they don't get, and why alcohol doesn't get bitch slapped as hard and tobacco doesn't get bitch slapped as hard. So we've formed this thing, Cocoa, which I'm really proud of, but we're still like the stepchild industry of the stepchild industry. And it's really just a money thing. Yeah. It's sad that it comes down to that. And the money be whether or not you want to start going after politicians, you want to start lobbying, shit, you might even want to take it to a ballot measure, whatever you want to do. That all requires funding. And our industry is so beat down that it's hard to get your hands on the funding.
It's true.
I will say we've moved into like a new era of, unity, which is pretty cool. I think everybody's mostly fighting the government instead of each other,
For sure.
Look, I'm as guilty as the next guy for, scrapping it up in the early days over licenses. But I think all those have been truced out. Everybody's, all the big operators are talking and pretty cool with each other. So, and we're working together to get done what we can get done. But it's a fucking, it's a very hard to change the entire system. And really cannabis itself, yeah, it's cannabis and whatever. There's maybe a little syntax in there, but it's just because they can. That's why they do.
So if you were able to get in office of some sort and change something tomorrow, what would be the first thing that you could?
Tax holiday.
It'd
be real easy. Just tax holiday,
For
right?
sure.
Like when they went outside of, there's other things, but that's like the glaring one because everything else would kind of like recede away if they would do a tax holiday. Look, there'll always be a cannabis black market, but instead of 70%, it would be a niche-y 20%, right? And there'd be a lot, less mid-pack booth out there if we, could get it for a little bit better ticket, and sell it for a good ticket. Shit, sell it in ounces and half pounds too. Like, why not let us, do that? And, at some point, okay, fine. I don't like to pay any tax. They could collect a little bit, but the industry's in turmoil. Like, they should at least take a 2-3 year pause, see what it does, and, go from there. When alcohol was legalized, they were smart back then. They started it at 1%, 2% tax to quash out the bootleggers.
Yeah.
So the criminal, element would go away and they could legalize it. And then, subsequently they've raised the tax. So, if I had the magic pen, so to speak, tax holiday all the way across the board. Let us get a little stronger and, try to move from there.
So you think we should take it from the way alcohol did it and kind of ease in with the lower taxes just to kind of level the playing field?
Yeah, look, they don't need the money, right? So that money's all allocated. It's earmarked, like whatever we can get into the earmarks, but they don't really need the money. So that's the biggest misconception. It's not that much money. It's a few $100 million on a $300 billion budget, but the interests that have the earmarks on that money, they're very strong, and that's who we're fighting against. And for the foreseeable future, they're always going to be, stronger than we are. So
for sure,
it's just a money thing, and the resistance as you try to get that. If I went from 15 to 19,
yeah,
and basically what happened there is some of the nonprofits and the SEIU. So the money's earmarked. 20% goes to the SEIU, childcare, 20% to the environmentalists, 60% to all these fake fucking nonprofits. So ultimately, they got to the Senator McGuire, who's running for insurance commissioner in a drastically different district than it used to be before. Mm-hmm. But he's still running for insurance commissioner, and he didn't want to rock the boat. He wanted to get those campaign contributions, and he was kind of in a position to like put a rider or not put a rider, and he fucked us.
Damn.
right? Because he wants to get reelected. And he's been an ally. He's super friendly with the Origin Council, who's, made up of humble growers. We've been a good bridge to Cocoa Catalyst, working together, with them to put policy forward. And out of the blue, he's been pretty marijuana-friendly dude, especially to the growers. He just fucked us.
Damn.
Because he wants his next job.
That's not cool, man. Can't be fucking people for your next job.
Yeah, McGuire, fuck you. By the way, I was just talking today. Somebody and I are cooking up an idea to, whatever we'll say, play around in his, because like to your point, like what I was saying before, like nobody ever goes on offense, and we don't really do anything that crazy. So in so much as even in a semi-competitive race, like we're gonna spend some money and just whatever billboards, do stuff that's loud
For sure.
and just like don't do that. If nothing else, at least try to hurt his feelings a little bit because he hurt our feelings. So
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Fuck you, man. So where does Weed for the People come from?
I will tell you how it started.
Let's
It
hear
was not like some fucking session genius, well thought out thing, right? And I got it on one of these. I got it inked right here, so I fucking die on that hill. But back in 2020, we had Broke basically from Connected, super friendly. Shout out to them. Doing a couple of our best selling brands. Basically we wanted to run our own stores. They kind of wanted us to run our own stores. It was getting hard for them to sell cannabis in Long Beach. So we decided to rebrand. So the first four stores, and then we built the fifth one as Catalyst that we had. They were going to manage. We know how to fucking run a store, right?
Yeah.
So, or they managed the first four. I shouldn't say they were. They did. And so when we were kind of going our separate ways and doing the rebranding, we came up with Catalyst. And so
I was going to ask that next question. Where did Catalyst come from? So
I'll get that one. So then, we're rebranding them now. Like, okay, I just changed the Connected Catalyst. Well, what hadn't dawned on me yet was designer weed, hashtag designer weed. That's Connected's hashtag. Was also inside all the things. So our guy who, sets up the stores, he calls me up. He's like, what do you want me to do with this designer weed hashtag? I'm just literally driving down the street. And all respect to designer weed, it's cool. I'm not not saying this in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I was like, fuck that shit, dude. Designer weed, call that shit weed for the people. That was it. Hip shot fucking
Beautiful
thing. No thought that I put into it. Just put it out there. And then, I started saying it at the end of the videos we were doing. And then I don't know how I came up with the arm thing, but like just developed over time. Now that's basically become our hashtag. We have enforced it once in California as well. Like
Beautiful.
We don't like people using that lightly, but that just was a random thought, and it was really like, hey, I don't want to. We're not trying to be designer weed. We're trying to and it's again that's cool. Whatever niche you carve out, and again they're one of our best selling flowers. I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but
For sure.
Weed for the People just was a hey, what do you want to do with the designer weed? Let's go with Weed for the People.
Cool. It's got a cool ring to it. Makes you feel like a part of something.
I like what it says, honestly. And again,
Yeah.
like I said, literally was like no think answer while I'm driving. So.
That's the best shit. Like even when it comes to the content stuff, you could sit down, plan a video, go film it, take 3 hours, edit it, get 3 views. You go down, like you said, shoot off the hip, throw your phone down, say something, gets 1 million views. You're like, what the fuck's going on?
Usually the ones that are like spontaneous too, because the topic is hot in the ether. It's hard to plan like what's gonna be the hottest hitting
What's
thing.
gonna hit, yeah, exactly.
What's good, like something's gonna happen next week. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll do our best to comment on it if we think our whether people want to hear it or not. We'll give our 2 cents probably, right?
Exactly. And now where does Catalyst come from? Where'd you guys come up with that?
So we're at a Christmas party. This is now we're like all sitting around trying to figure out a name, right? And so we was telling the love story of my wife, who's also off camera there, and how all this came to be. And somebody said, hey Anna, you're like a catalyst to this whole thing. So really, and everybody's like, well, that's a pretty good name. So it's essentially named after her, and people like the catalyst. And then the other thing I learned, and so I really liked it too, because the other thing I kind of learned from watching Caleb is you got to keep in mind they used to be cookies before they were connected. So they kept the blue and they kept the C.
Okay.
And I was like, I really like this because we can keep the blue and we can keep the C, and people will make, in the early days, now we've kind of built our own name, especially in Southern California. But in the early days, it wasn't lost on us that like, ain't nobody know what the fuck a catalyst is.
For sure.
But everybody, Connect the Alien Labs were as big a name as, any back then. So I also like we'll do a different shade of blue. We won't bite that hard, and we'll keep the C in place. And so that's kind of the cookies to catalyst, or the connected to catalyst.
Okay. Interesting. So you kept the C, kept the branding similar along the lines, just so that people were familiar with it, which is smart.
Right.
Very smart. And how many locations did you start with?
So, I mean, when we started, we had none, right? But the ones we won 6 in Long Beach. So we ended up getting, 3 of them up that were connected. And then actually the very first location we had was one in Santa Ana on like 10%. Now we took it over.
Okay.
That was actually a Cookies for like the very, very, very early part. And then we had one in Bellflower. But none of those we got at the same time. And then from there, when we rebranded to Catalyst, we were building a store. So the 5th one, I think, was our first Catalyst. And then we rebranded the 4. But, we didn't have any stores until, Long Beach opened up in 2016.
Wow. So from 2016 to now, how many locations do you have?
33.
Wow. That's huge. Congrats on that. That's like
I don't know if it's a congrats or I'm sorry, but
that's exponential growth though in my eyes. So that's killer.
We
man.
slowed down a lot the last year or two, but we did 22 and 23. We went pretty fucking hard. We were going hard up until then, but we've just notched it back a little bit. Just it's getting wild out there.
I was gonna say, how does it go from like managing 5-6 stores to now managing 33? Like, what's the day-to-day look like for you now compared to what it used to?
I mean, we were talking a little bit off camera, like you gotta be willing to play 15 positions and be in it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, what I do in a day is so diverse and like, so random. Like, I'm going through, a busted out company's portfolio now, reading legal documents. I'm here, I'm doing this podcast, which is, in quotes, probably, part of my job, running down, different marketing stuff, whatever it is, right? But, it sounds like a dumb thing to say, or like, nah, that can't really be true. But it's almost an entirely different business to have 5 stores is 33. Because as you get bigger, you have all these different growing pains. The super hard part is like leveling up so that you have enough guys to cover it. But the new stores you have are losing money, so you don't really have the money.
Yeah.
And then you got to start solving systems, right? So like when early on, we had 4 or 5 stores. They're all pretty local within, 25 minutes driving of my house.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of run around, keep your eye on things that way, right? And then what you're doing, you could do, it's really super localized. As you grow, whatever the issue is, you got to be able to resolve it on a macro.
Have somebody
that works and then gets all the way down. And the best I can, I try to stay in touch with the budtenders and the customers and all that. But as you get bigger, there's also more levels in between you. So you always have to be cognitive that like what you're trying to do is getting passed down. And then, just having really good people around you is, probably the most important thing. We got a really good group of, core people that, make the thing, run. But it is like each little level up is a fucking, hard level up.
I'm sure, yeah. Every level up comes with more challenges. So,
and it's just a different, like, I mean, whatever it is, like, all right, now we got to solve this distribution problem, or certain things you're doing at 8 to 10 stores, like getting deliveries to the store. You can't do that anymore, right? Like it's insane. You got to, all right, now we got to form a distro, like whatever it is. You just more and more different things you got to put together, and then you have to resolve for on scale in order for it to work. So
absolutely. Now, having all these stores, I'm sure it's tough to manage everything, but is anything like central? Do you have partners like with the owners of stores, or is it you that owns everything?
No, so the actual parent co, I own like 45% of myself.
Okay.
And then my other co-founder, it's owned by only like 3 or 4 guys have the lion's share of it, right? And then there's like another 2 or 3 guys that have a decent amount. So we done pretty good at like not pimping out our parent co. And we weren't that great at raising money, which whatever might be an advantage at this point, because everybody who got the fuck you money just pissed it off. And we were like, oh, let's stay profitable and see if we can keep going or whatever. What was that? I lost my train of thought.
Is like, how do you, is anything centralized as far as like purchasing goes?
Yeah. So the distribution is all centralized. So our Bellflower is our distro hub. So everything gets bought there and, distributed out from there. It's really the only way to, control the inventory so that it works. And then, cause you have some stores that are on the come up and some that are down. And that's probably, I would say, one of the most complicated things we do.
Okay.
Is you never really want to sell out, but if you have too much inventory, you're going to get crushed.
For sure.
So, then you're going to have to discount it off. It's going to be old product. And like, look, we're good at paying, but everybody wants to get paid at 30, 45. The truth is half the shit sits for, 90 to 120. So yeah, the centralized distro was a big move that we had to do. We do it okay, but that's one of the main things, just logistics and different stuff like that. A lot of the youngsters are really working on it. They like to clown me. They say I'm a boomer, which is true in some regards. Like, hey, boomer, get out of the room. We got this, right?
Yeah.
But just figuring out how to like not have too much inventory, but not get sold out but also have a really good SKU selection.
Yeah.
And it's just a super hard line to like walk, and you're never really going to get it perfect, but you try to get as close as you can.
Absolutely. How many SKUs do you guys carry?
Total SKUs, I mean, the counts changed a lot. I'm going to go with, I think we're carrying like 4,000 SKUs, about 120 brands.
Okay.
I think at our peak, we were like 165 brands, and it's the hardest thing to cut them down.
For sure.
But the truth is, like, if you don't, you're going to die, because like, it's just, and look, for me, you know, I'm always willing to add somebody and give them a chance. But it, you know, I don't have to push the orders through. So like, it sounds, and people are like, oh, just got to add me. It's no big deal. It's like, yeah, easy for me to say, go, you know, the young man that's, you know, showed up at 5 a.m. that leaves at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
You know, that's 33 stores. You know, say it's, you know, you're going to have at least 10 SKUs, probably 20, 30 SKUs.
Yep.
Right. Like, that's a lot of work to
definitely
get it in there. Right. And then, okay, then now they got to keep a close eye because it's a new brand. And, you know, if our inventory gets old at all, we just rack it out on discount real fast. Like, we don't carry old dead inventory, at least to the best of our ability.
God bless. God bless. I'm sure your customers appreciate that.
I mean, on the flower, even on the vapes, but like, if you're buying flower that's more than 90, like,
come on.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. And if I get called out, you know, one of the things I'm most proud of, I don't know most proud of, but like, I'll probably fix, like, fuck, I did 5 the other day. I'll do them like in a line. Like, I probably fix, like, by now, at least a few thousand orders. So if someone gets like a 100-day eighth, or they're polite or whatever, even if they're not that polite, I'll just go fix the order. And like, now we have our loyalty program, so I could just log in and I usually give them like, you know, whatever. I'm probably gonna get some DMs off this, but I give them like, you know, whatever, 5,000-10,000 loyalty points. And
how important do you think that is, though, to just like fix those minor inconveniences for your customers? Like,
you know, is there ROI in it? You know, maybe you probably lock them in for life, but to me, it's just a pride thing. It's like, you know, you can't be everywhere serving everybody at once. Like, you know, Catalyst weed for the people. That, you know, that's your name on it, right? Yeah. So if anything goes wrong, you know, even if it's on them, like, I don't get into it with them. Like, I'm gonna fix it, right? Sure. You know, so my rules just, you know, you could either you're always right or you got banned for life. Like, if you went way too far, like, I call over there and they're like, oh, you know, he called me a dumb cunt and said I was gonna, you know, kill you. Yeah. Like, sorry, bro, you got banned for life. But if you're just being a little bit of a dick, you know, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying customers should act that way, but I'm a customer's always right guy. And the easiest thing to do is fix it. And honestly, the most crazy ones, they sometimes appreciate it the most and stay the most loyal. You know, look, we got about 400,000 people, not individual people per se, but visits, you know, different tickets per month. So like, if you fixed 40, 50 orders in a month, you know, maybe I'm probably close to one a day now. Yeah. Cause I'll do like, you know, I'll line them up. I try to clear all my DMs and then I'll line them up and I'll just go into the system and knock them out. But it, you know, it's probably not changing the bottom line a lot, but I will say that people super appreciate it. Sometimes they even ask, like, is this AI? And I'm like, no, bro, it's me. I'm fucking sitting here I'm sitting here high as fuck, cleaning my DMs. You think Grok is fucking telling you he's high as fuck cleaning his DMs right now? Okay. So I do think they're like a little bit surprised when they you respond. Find it to you.
Yeah. And how do you guys go about marketing?
Like,
I know it's tough. Obviously, they would get shadow banned in everything we try to do on social media or anything like that. So
same thing. It's an infinite game. I mean, a lot of what we did was, you know, organic kind of in the beginning with social media. We're branching out a lot more. You know, I think Google's, you know, on the rise. We're literally talking about it now. So, you know, without getting into everything, you know, a little SEO, and, you know, I think there's some ad opportunities on there. You know, Weed Maps does its thing. You know, it's pretty useful platform for us. Sure. Our most, you know, our biggest marketing is word of mouth. So like, you know, we track all that on the way in. You know, word of mouth is, you know, definitely the biggest winner. What's also been really good for us is events, just kind of creating that culture. I mean, we're talking about doing some in San Diego, for example, now, because we built such a good culture here in the LA area. For sure. From just doing stuff. And then, you know, I think people just kind of, you know, pick up on that. And there's really no idea, like, I won't try once, right? We do mailers as well when we open a store, a bunch of different stuff, right? Okay. And then we just try the best we can to track it. And like, that's, again,
see where leads are coming from.
Yeah, it's the infinite game. You spend money. Did you get it back? Okay, well, that one looks like it did better than that one. And then every area is a little bit different. But those are the main ones really are Google, Weed Maps, you know, word of mouth. And there's a lot of other ones we kind of touch. But, you know, I'd say events actually is another really big one. And then, you know, we take good care of our budtenders too. And, you know, I don't think most people think of that as marketing. But take our Capo event we just had.
I was about to mention that, yeah.
Yes.
Speak a little bit about that.
So, you know, it started off as just a way to reward the the bud tenders, and really, shout out to Wayne for, bringing it to life.
Wayne he's a beast, man.
Fucking beast.
He does
bro.
a lot of shit behind the scenes and people have no clue.
Bro, the funniest shit for me is like I show up and everybody like greatest event, the whole thing, and I'm like, bro, I just fucking show up.
Yeah. Hey, at least you got the right people in the right places, you know?
Well, the event's good when you're not tripping on like, what's going on in the
Little
back.
things,
Like, okay, here's my part. Okay, get up there at 7:30, give the awards. Okay, I got it. I can do that. That's all I got to worry about. All right, I'm good. But it's also like the culture outside with the customer is super important, but I think the culture inside super important. So like the idea behind the Capo was like, man, the bud tender is that important. Why are we treating them all the same when we got fucking hardcore hustlers really putting in work every day, trying to do the best we can for us, and other people just, kind of like, patting the thing, I'm getting on the time clock in, time clock
Just
out.
another job, yeah.
So the thing that's become cool is now we FOMO'd it a little bit. Like I try to FOMO it a little bit. I'm trying to like level up each time. Like I'm just being real.
Yeah.
And then, you have your invisible hand there, right? So look, the younger generation's got hustlers too, but they got a lot of little, I don't want to sound like the old guy, but
Nah, man, fuck that, bro. I got a cousin who's 18 years old, and I had to force her to get a job, her first job. She's like, I don't want to work. I was like, everywhere's hiring. Don't tell me they're not going to hire you.
they're cut a little different sometimes.
Yeah.
And so what I like about this is, look, we give cash bonuses too, but my guess is like it's the pride of having the Capo jacket, coming to the event. And then, like, let's say you got a hangover that day, and you might thinking about no call, no show, which I don't even understand, which is it's kind of an issue we have. Like, people just don't show up. Like, oh shit, the fuck you don't show up to work?
Crazy.
But like, you're probably gonna go, or you're on a shift, you're not feeling that good, or maybe you got a little too high at lunch, but you're like, shit, so and so's in third place, or like I'm in third place. I'm gonna try and work my way into the Capo. So it's kind of like having an invisible hand there
For sure.
all the time. And then the brands like have gone all in with us too. Like the most respect ever. I could like, or like just super cool. I mean, we had 45 brands there. Like almost every single one made a collab shirt with Catalyst on it and and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Sick. And just how they show out, and then they run their own incentives. So even though it doesn't fall under like marketing per se, I think the bud tender holds the most powerful position in the supply chain. Obviously, there has to be leadership that's like moving the ship in a good position. But as far as marketing, so the Capo to me has been like super important, taking care of our own people. And then when it's working at its best, which I think is what's happening, it becomes a loop that basically takes care of itself. Like you're working hard, now you're getting paid more, now you're getting come to events. Now we're making a little more because you're working harder. Now we got a little bit more to pay you, have a little bit bigger event. So, hustling should be rewarded with hustling.
Absolutely.
I've never been this, every guy gets a trophy mentality. I just think it's dangerous to get into that mentality.
We didn't grow up in that era. Not everyone got a trophy when we were growing up. So if you got that shit, you earned that shit, And
I just think it's a dangerous thing to get in. And the more and more I look at it, and, I really parse through like how much a guy makes an hour. And so we're getting deeper and deeper into, I love the intel and the analytics. Like Absolutely. I get all the way granular with it. Like I could tell you pretty much like not only what the guy's production is, like which guys are making what per hour, and, how much I know we need him to make an hour so that it even makes sense. And then like, we have guys that are, dead weight as well, right? And so like, but I'll get the report from the GM. They'll be like, no, this guy's cool. He's, logging in the back or whatever. Okay. But like if you're on the floor 24/7 and, you're in even a semi-busy store and you're not putting in numbers, you're kind of stealing from everybody else. That's my worldview.
It's true. No, it's very true. I used to work at a ski shop, and they had a incentive program as well where we would just know where we stood every month, So that was just that little bit to work harder. And me being the person I had to be number one, If I wasn't number one, it was the manager who beat me in sales that week, So I'm like, all right, cool. But that definitely incentivized me, lit a fire under my ass, and then I became the manager of the ski shop.
I'll tell you what's been interesting too. Like, there's not, because I've tried to like, how could we have all capos, like, or how could we have all people putting up these numbers? Like, what is the magic sauce? It's not like the girls aren't doing any better than the boys, which would be like one theory, like, oh, hot. Oh, yeah. No, the guys do fucking just as good as the pretty girls. Yep. There's not no racial component, no age component, nothing. It's just whoever's a bigger hustler. And it's like, it's super, like, I looked, like, I was like mindful of like, is there anything here, like, because we're going to hire more people, whatever. Like, is there anything here that I could figure out of why? No, just most of it is effort. And then, the other interesting part is, I don't want this to come off the bad way, but I don't know if like's the right word, but I generally have better rapport with the Capos, not just because they're better salespeople, because they want to give to the organization. They don't have that entitlement mentality. And like the same people you would fuck with in real life, if you didn't know their numbers, are the same people for the most part, not 100%, that end up being capos because
solid.
yeah, and then the dudes that don't work hard, they're always the entitled guys, or if you fire them, they're gonna sue and say you did whatever. Like it's a super interesting like part of it where like and then the best I can, I try to stay in touch with all of them, through text, what's going on, what's the store doing, congratulations, whatever. I just think those little things are super important.
For sure. And now, being that you do that and you're so involved with your bud tenders, do you have a high turnover rate or is it pretty low?
Super fucking low.
Okay, that's good.
In fact, I'll say this, like, bro, like, I think it's like over 10,000 now. Like, again, if you want to talk about things I'm most proud of, we got over 10,000 job applications.
God bless.
And the thing. And in fact, I would say, like, after that Capo event, you're going to get at least like 20 DMs. I want to work for you. And then we probably get, I probably get personally, I don't know, at least 5 to 7 a week. People like, hey, I want to work for me. A lot of times they're leaving other stores. So, if there's something to really be like, man, that's so cool, man. We did a really good job on that. Like, people want to come work for us. So that's pretty fucking.
That must be
cool.
a good feeling.
That
Like
is a
people
good
want
feeling.
to work for you.
Yeah. We try, and we try our best. Like our front line, it doesn't. Our in quotes executives don't make that much more than our front line. So that's just the business we're in for now, and we do our best to take care of our people. And I'd rather reward the best of the best and try to retain the best of the best, because it's a super important job. And I think anybody who knows, but it gets sometimes underrated by the people that maybe are just looking at a spreadsheet, or the more corporate types, like that, like how important of a job that is.
Yeah. No, super important. I've found a lot of brands just by going in saying like, hey, what do you like? What do you like? And it's been cool. So the more educated they are, the better experience I have as a customer, so that's really good as well. Obviously dealing with a lot of shit, like you said, one day you'll be on a podcast, one day you'll be down here. How do you deal with like the work-life balance?
It's, I just don't have any hobbies, right? Like tonight I'm going to dinner just because I happen to be up here.
Okay.
And it's actually a business dinner. I'm meeting with 2 of my favorite people in the industry. We're talking some business, a little bit of business and pleasure, but that's
Beautiful.
it. I just hang out with my family and I work. I don't do anything else. You're not going to catch me like golfing or going out with the boys. Like I don't really have any of that. I do work a lot. I'm not going to say I don't, but the best I can, I get my family time in, with the little ones, and I'm father of 4 and married. So just always
God bless.
Same thing. Try to get the date night in with the wife. But, other than, and I love what I do, right? Like despite the fact that it has challenges and all that, that is part of the fun of it. Right. And then, I love the plan itself, but even the hustle and the grind and just trying to, basically build something out of dust, like nothing is more motivating and better than that. Like, look, everybody likes to make some money, but honestly, once you're you're comfortable enough, like that's not, I think anybody who's in it who has that as a driving force probably quit by now, right?
For sure.
I'm guessing.
You really got to love it.
Yeah.
Just like I do music and shit too. And I tell people like, even with podcasting, it's like, you really got to love this shit or else you're not going to last. It's a industry where there's a lot of people doing this shit. So if you stop and you decide, hey, I don't want to do this, you're going to get run right over.
I was told by a very smart guy the other day, which was interesting to me. He's like, until you've done 100, you haven't even put in an effort on podcasting.
Absolutely.
And I was like, you know what? I like that. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. Because the statistics are really, most people start a podcast, they get 7 episodes, and that's it. They fall off. But that's statistically. Don't be another statistic, If you're going to do it, just be consistent and go full in. So where do you see, like, obviously you said it's hard to predict, but where, if you could predict a little bit, where do you see Catalyst going in the next 3 to 5 years?
There's a lot of variables in that equation. I'll throw a few out of them that are just like immediate and why it's kind of so hard to predict. And then the laws are, like we're looking at hemp out of state, just being real. Like which way the law is going to go, right?
Yep.
So, we're hoping to refinance our debt stack. We finally did get a little bit of loans. It's not that much compared to everybody else, but we pay high ass interest. So we're hoping that we get basically a regular, East West is doing loans right now. So hopefully we can get that restacked. And then, the big play we're working on right now, in fact, they're all due Friday. There's no secret in this, so I can say it, is we're making an offer on a Gold Flora portfolio. So it's like Parent Co, Gold Flora, the whole thing. So that's
okay.
There's 11 stores in there. In fact, one of the guys I'm getting dinner with, we're going to chop it up a little bit, like regionally.
God bless.
So if we knocked it out, we'd end up with 8. They'd end up with 3. So if we get that, then we got our hands full in California. There's another deal that I'm working on that I can't disclose, where I was on the phone on the way over here, right? And they're trying to retrade me, and I was like, dude, with all due respect, like I like the deal, but it's a buyer's market, like no, right? So we'll see where the answer is on that. And then I would say if we get Gold Flora, you know, we're going to be in California trying to fix that. But if not, you know, I want to take the little bit of stack we have and start looking out of state. So we've been looking a little bit. I want to get more on the product side. I just think brick and mortar, man, it's just like, man, it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at the hemp thing as well. You know, we'll see which way the ball bounces. If I had a bet, but you know, I'm wrong on this macro politics shit a lot. Everybody is. Might have a run till October. You know, I'd never do it in California because you know you shouldn't shit where you eat. But there's 11 states. It's pretty wide open. So you know, we're looking a little bit at North Carolina, looking at some dispensaries in Jersey, looking at some in Minnesota, even looking at New York a little bit. So we'll see.
That's where I'm from. I'm born and raised in New York.
Yeah, it would be fun. I
That'd be
know
cool.
some guys are coming up out there. You just got to get upstate a little bit from what I'm hearing. So, you know, depending on kind of how that, you know, look, more likely than not, a lot of people are trying to buy that Gold Flora. We don't end up with it. And then I do think if we get our debt restacked, which is like hopefully happens in September, and we kind of know like, all right, this is, you know, how many chips we have to allocate. You know, I'd love to get out of California because I see a lot of people that have California brands or that I talk to, and their California brand is mediocre, but they're killing it in this state, or they're killing it in that state, or they're killing it in this state. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? I'm even half trying to figure out why I'm even offering on this Gold Flora.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why am I doing this to myself again, right?
Locking in, yeah.
But it seems like there might be an opportunity there. So, you know, when we're trying to predict and not to give the long answer, you know, that's, you know, am I going to get this or not? You know, so you got to kind of have to decide how you're going to allocate capital. But if we can get out of state and, you know, test our luck in another state or two, it'd be pretty cool. And then I think the other thing that will be super relevant is if they do go Schedule 3 or they go, you know, deschedule, then who knows? The capital might, like right now in California, you're on your own. You're not getting any more money.
For sure. Yeah,
they cut everybody off, right? So, you know, if the capital starts slowing back in the market, there's more interest, you know, that could change it now. You know, I'm operating under the bootstrap. You know, I'm just trying to actually get a lower rate. I'm not really popping any money out of there. I'm just operating under the bootstrap, you know, kind of mentality. But, you know, if money came back in the space and it was cheap money and it helped us go national and, you know, whatever, we would do it. So it's super hard to predict. In fact, like, you know, we just hit our 5-year birthday as Catalyst. You know, we've been doing it a little longer, but, you know, I couldn't predict the next, you know, 5 years. And again,
sure, the last 5 years you couldn't predict either.
If you had told me, bro, when I was applied for the first store, we were going to get to 33, I would have been like,
no way.
Why would I do? No way, right? And so, you know, and again, a lot of it too is going to determine, like, you know, are they going to get to 19 back to 15, or, you know, what's going to happen here in, you know, California. You know, we got some other important things, but I would like to at least get out of state and diversify it a little bit, and, you know, just, you know, see if we can build a brand in, you know, another state. So
for sure. Do you guys have your own brand?
Yeah.
Like,
so more and more we've been launching our own products inside our footprint. So now we're swapping a little bit with some of the larger retailers. We're, you know, 2 of the bigger, you know, outfits. So what we're doing now is we're rebranding it all so it fits under 2 brands, right? So we have our M Juice. It's a really good product. It's cured resin, so it gives us a big market advantage because we can get the indoor trim and we can sell it, you know, really, you know, affordable compared to what's, you know, out there. So then what we're gonna do is, like, we're gonna basically Kirkland a little bit our shelf. So we have a couple pods and different stuff and gummies that we're working on. So those will all be under the M Juice. And then the Cat 4 already exists. We run a few products under that, but everything that we call Catalyst, we're switching to Cat 4, and we're making the Cat 4 look less catalysty. So we could sell it outside. In fact, a good friend of mine was like, bro, and I was like, oh yeah, good point. I forgot I'm trying to sell this outside my footprint. So we're trying to get everything under that, but we have hash that we sell. We got pre-rolls. We got all-in-ones. We're making a couple more pods. We haven't fooled around with the, you know, the flower yet, but we might get there. We got a 510, you know, come in. Just trying to keep, you know, the average sale is down like $3-4 year over year. We've been pretty good on traffic. In fact, boosted it, but trying to get back, you know, the margin on the average sale, and everything's so cheap out there right now. You don't really need to have the infrastructure, right? Like,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the price per pound right now is fucking insane. Yeah.
It's very low. What's your hottest seller? What item?
The hottest selling brand we have in the entire store is Coastal Sun. It's organic flower. They grew with us. Ours are, I mean, look, there's a, you know, well, obviously a lot of guys that, you know, they kind of, and I pull them every month. I'm super curious to see why things rise and why things fall. Coastal Sun's been with us, you know, I think even before we were Catalyst or just maybe taking over the Connected. And we just had a discussion about, let's bring clean, good, affordable meds to customers who are organic. I just bumped it to 21. I had it at 20 for the longest time. I was
Okay.
like, all right, we got to go 21.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like super scared to get off to 20. We're fine. So, and look, they sell ounces and infused stuff and other stuff, but amazingly, they're our best selling flower by a decent amount. And then some of the ones you would suspect are behind it. Connected Alien Labs, combined one of our better sellers. They're great flower in themselves, but we're linked with them at the hip. Just historically, traditional, a bunch of other good ones. So I could go on and on, but the biggest.
What about like product wise? Is it like a pre-roll or something like that?
They're shifting. The market's shifting. So even weird enough. I fucking used to just take bong rips, fucking only smoke flower.
Yeah.
Now I only smoke vapes. It's the weirdest thing. Like,
interesting.
If I get flower, I'll smoke it. But it's just so convenient and easy. And like now we're making our own product and whatever. We got a little fucking hash vape that's good. The M juice is really good. I smoke everything we put out. More and more the vapes are becoming a larger part of the market.
Absolutely.
People are getting a little more wise to the distillate and move into the rosin, but I still think the fat of the bat, is gonna be distillate and value flower. It is what it is, right? And for me, our big thing that we're pushing forward is the Cat 4. So like, hey, if you're gonna smoke distillate, we're gonna test it for 135 pesticides, make sure we're delivering clean medicine, and then the first move into the making sure everything was clean as that kind of came to our attention was like, yo, let's not go poison our patients.
For sure.
But it's not lost on me that I think there's a big play with Cat 4 and Echo and clean medicine. So we're going to keep leaning into that. I mean, it's the right thing to do, but it seems like there's a nice little branding backdoor. Those two fucking things line up.
Yeah.
You want to go.
And you know what? I actually did want to bring that up because I know you're a big advocate on like our weed being more regulated than our food that we're putting in our body. Like, what the fuck's going on with that, man?
It's a tough question. So look, it's funny. The food thing, only because I went down because I used to have all these fucking stomach problems all the time, like acid at night, couldn't sleep. I never fucking complained because I don't want to be a little bitch. So as I went down the rabbit hole on the testing, I was talking to all these lab guys. They're telling me about the food. I was actually pretty ignorant to the food. I just didn't put much thought into it. Just whatever I could grab, I would eat. So I switched to 3 steaks only a day. I mean, I cheat and shit, right? I just ate a fucking cheesecake the other night and paid the price. But like pretty good with it. Without trying, like the idea wasn't to lose weight, but I lost like 30 pounds, like not like just over a year or whatever it was. But my stomach problems, everything, all gone, went away. So I'm convinced we're all eating fucking poison, right?
We absolutely are.
And
I was sick recently and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do to like feel better? I go to turn to like some of those electrolyte drinks, get some electrolytes in me. Reading the ingredients on them, and the last one is Red 40. I'm like, why the fuck is this in here if this is supposed to be like our health drink?
Well, so
Now
I'd be looking on there and I'm like, bro, this shit is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this, you don't smoke it, not to make it okay. And then like, as I kind of unwound it, the chemical industrial compound is a trip. All the shit they used in Vietnam, right, which came out for the first time, like then all those chemical companies had like figured that out, and they're like, oh, let's repurpose these and get the bugs, right? Yeah. And really since then, we've been eating poison and or ingesting it in other ways. Now it's in every fucking building, whatever. It isn't, I'm sure it's in here too, right? Like it's in the walls, whatever. So it's in my office every day. And my guess is if you took a chart from when that all happened till now, the cancer rates are way higher. So, rewinding back to cannabis, I'm sure back in the day, we all smoked the worst shit, but it was on flower, right? And like, I'm a big proponent of organic, Cat 4, because you're smoking it, but is it as bad on flower? Probably not. When you concentrate it down into a vape, now you're in a situation where like, some of these vapes, because there's the 66 chemicals on the DCC panel. Guys were using off-panel shit, and the concentration levels are super high, right? So like, pymetrozine Endeavor being the big one, which is a felony to apply.
Crazy.
So, we just were like, look, if people want to make informed consent, fine, but at least they should know what they're smoking. And if I didn't fucking know that there was off-panel chemicals being used, and I think I'm fairly gamed up in legal cannabis, like how the fuck is the customer going to know?
Yeah.
So having the Cat 4 gives us the opportunity to do it. I would think of it in the reverse, which is, if the customer has informed consent, then, do your best to protect them, but they have informed consent. On the food side, I'd like to see them clean up the food, or at least let us know what
Make it big letters like, yo, this is what's in here, not just a subtle, hey.
We're all eating fucking, like this shit was, I thought it was fucking some serious shit. It was just the food.
Yeah, I believe it. No, the food is shit, man. Like really, from everything, even the shit you're buying in the grocery store, sometimes it's not the greatest.
Well, the good thing for me now is because my stomach was like so fucked up, and if I fuck around a little bit, it won't destroy me, but I'll like get fucked up. So it's a pretty good deterrent. Like it might be this weird backward blessing in disguise. The steak keeps me full. You know, my wife cooked me up 1 in the morning. I had a big ass fucking steak.
So you're like carnivore now? You do the carnivore diet?
Carnivore only.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But I went, I had to do the whole doctor thing. I went to the thing, whatever they, you know what they do when I'm 47, so they fucking check every which way on me.
For sure.
I'm not proud to admit it, but it's I was a little worried, right?
Uh-huh.
So they want to give me 4 drugs. I was like, I don't want to take no fucking drugs. Like, for my whole life, I got to take these 4 fucking drugs because I had some bacteria or whatever. So I switched my diet, and then like I was still getting a little bit of pain. And then when I went to the meat, I don't know why. So I was eating like fruits, vegetables, just trying to do it. When I went to the meat only, it worked. And then I was like, wow, I felt I could feel great. And then like a month into it, I feel great. Then all of a sudden, I didn't really weigh myself that much. I'm like, bro, I'm fucking
losing weight.
I don't work out, do shit. I just fucking go to work and fucking go home and, smoke some weed and go to bed.
I'm going to have to try this carnivore diet, man. I've been hearing great things. So.
I highly recommend it. Like
I love steak too, so I don't see why I would not like this diet.
Everybody's different. I'm not a fucking scientist. I don't fucking know why it works so well for me, but I wish I would have figured this shit out. And then like, you have more energy. I feel like I got a little more tea, whatever it is. I'm feeling a little tougher during the day. Yeah. And it's subtle, but now it's been like a year. I feel like it's honestly one of the best like lifestyle changes I've ever made in my entire life. And, I'm 47 now. I probably did it a year ago when I'm 46. Like, I wish I would have figured that out, maybe 10 years, 15 years earlier. It would have been nice, but whatever.
Hey, at least you figured it out now.
Give it a go, though. I'm telling you. Just give it 30 days.
I'm going to try it.
And just stick to it, and you'll be like, holy fucking shit. I feel
you can eat chicken and stuff, too? Just meat, right?
Yeah.
Or is it red meat?
I stick to steak, grass-fed, grass-finished, but I mean, you can do it however you want. I eat salmon, too, like, whatever. But I think if you stuck to meat, and you got to watch that meat, too. FDA?
Oh, yeah.
Shitty-ass meat.
For sure.
That FDA stamp don't mean dick, right? Nothing. Grass-fed, grass-finished. They put all sorts of weird hormones and shit in the meat, too. So you got to get the
good stuff.
The good meat, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know how much you want to go into this, but I know it was in the news a lot lately with the whole Glass House Farms thing. Just whatever you're willing to talk about with that.
All of it. I mean, look, the rate itself, I basically know generally as much as anybody else, right?
For sure.
My take on it is their business model is built on plausible deniability. So why not stick it on arts contracting, right? So, again, my guess is it was a disgruntled worker, but nobody really knows. But I do know the DCC went there in May. ICE came back in June. These stupid motherfuckers that think they're untouchable still didn't get the kids off the property. Yeah. I don't know how they don't have an age gate. I honestly don't know how the DCC hasn't done something with that yet. And then, you have to do an I-9 form. And again, look, just to say it, I'm not for them ripping people off fucking farms that are good, hard workers, right? Of course. But I don't know how you hire 319 undocumented workers on accident.
And you don't know about it.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you got a guy doing it for you. So it's kind of interesting. It's become a macro, political issue. It was a fucking trip. So we were watching it happen, and her and I were up in Sacramento just watching a couple of podcasts. It's the fucking main story. And I'm like, and we're just fucking smoking. Like, what the fuck? This is crazy,
What's going
right?
on? Yeah.
And then what I didn't expect, which I probably should have in hindsight, I was getting blown the fuck up. Like, bro, are you watching this? Da-da-da-da. And I'm like, what? I just had like a little run-in. Like, what? Like, why am I so linked to it with him? But, a lot of people wanted to know my opinion. And then, a few people were like, was that you? And I was like, no, bro, no. I actually took it as like, it was more than one person. It was like 4 or 5 people asked. Yeah. Or like, alleged. And I was like, well, that's like, I would never do that. That's a super fucking bitch move. But like a little bit of me thinks like, at least people think I'm that fucking savage that I might, right? Like, but for sure it wasn't me. I wouldn't do that, right? Absolutely. And how the fuck would I know? Like, I don't work up there, right? I don't know. So that's that part of it. Obviously, we got the litigation matters. And look, it's a tough thing. My take on it, and I've talked about this before. We know we're walking the line of snitching, right? And we know there's going to be different opinions, on that. But for me, it boils down to a few things. You're putting up canopy knowing you're not going to sell it, right? You're a publicly traded company that's basically getting the advantage of private equity capital and shareholder capital and a share price that's not real, right? You're going on the cover of MJ Biz saying you're Mr. Compliance when you have the least compliant business that I'm aware of, right? Just doing, simple math. I've asked a lot of people about it. Look, is there a danger in like, we know the DCC, if they crack down, it would fuck the whole industry, right? Because whatever it is, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 pounds outside of Glass House.
And that's the only thing they can do because they're not doing shit to the illegal market, the DCC,
no. Well, look, the black market grows or whatever, 5% of the supply now, of course. If that, 3%.
Yeah.
It's legal grows being backdoor. So what we offer the DCC, because we're suing them to settle our case, super fucking reasonable. Like, we understand that this could have, unintended consequences where hey, we want this to stop, or we're going after this company, and then like everybody gets fucked up, and then we're that guy. We don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So what we offered the DCC, and for the life of me, well, I actually kind of know why I think they refused it, was just two things. One, we want every company to have a rating, right? So like, whatever, if you're old school doing Humboldt, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You don't give a fuck if your rating's 5.
Of course.
But if you're Glass House and you got to go on your public earnings call and your ratings, could 5, just 1 out of 100, what percent gets out?
Yeah.
And your rating's 5, those are going to be pretty hard to claim you're vertically integrated. And then the other idea was we want people to be able to see through. So as a retailer, if I want to test something, take it off my shelf, test it, I can go all the way back to the source. I could see back. If you sell a pound and you're a distributor or you're a vendor, you have no idea where it went. So I think they should anonymize it and just let you know if it got cash out at a register or not. Again, if you're a bootstrap private guy, it won't affect you.
For sure.
Right? But what it will do is change the capital flows. And to me, those are super low bars. And like, if you win a lawsuit against the DCC, what do you really win? They're still not going to do anything.
Yeah.
If I could probably have to sue them again, like whatever, right?
For sure.
Like you can't really win that game. It's just trying to elevate it and get it from the table and see what they're going to do. So both sets of attorneys that were on it love the idea. My guess is they took it all the way up to the top and they don't want to do it. The reason they don't want to do it is they get a shitload of their money from licensing fees.
Okay.
Like a ridiculous amount.
Wow.
So everything is incentivized based on the money. And then, you take Metric, who's politically powerful. What did they just get? $150 million fucking contract over 5 years, no bid. And by their own numbers they put out on the DCC dashboard, it fails 85, 90%. It's a data entry system. It's not track and trace.
Absolutely.
Data entry system.
That's what I was going to say. The holes in Metric, those need to be fixed, I mean, just what's going on with the track and trace, whatever it is.
It could be easily fixed. We don't want to see anybody go in trouble. At this point, the cat's out of the bag with the backdooring, right? The original sin I call it is, when they got rid of the 1 acre cap and they let guys stack unlimited tier 2 licenses. So that Glass House thing is, whatever it is, 500-600 licenses, they're 10,000 feet stacked. So look, everybody overbuilt. I'm sympathetic to that. Backdoor away, right? But at the end of the day, you're continuing to overbuild to exacerbate the problem. Now look, everybody's getting, 100-200 a pound. It's, just going to become corporatized mids, and then centralizing the power like that, I think is really bad because, eventually, that there's a lot of bad outcomes that could happen from that with 70-80 million in, black market money, basically indirectly being shot in your coffers. But they have, by not being able to see through and not having a rating, they're able to say, and we've deposed Kyle. I posted some of the shit, right? Not an honest guy. But it was pretty funny. We had the receipts on so much shit he didn't expect us to have.
Okay.
So we'd set him up. My lawyer's a savage. The fucking Jeff, he's a fucking goat. But so that's the take on that. If they would just do those two things, it would. And then you're trying to thread a needle, which is okay. Let everybody know who you really are. You're out there raising money. You got to rep your 5. Like, yo, bro, we rely on the East Coast to get rid of this. We rely on the Texas hemp market to get rid of this.
Absolutely.
Now you got to be real about it, right? Most people that are bootstrapped wouldn't care. So like the old street industry guys, you shouldn't mind. And then the see-through is important. So then why do you keep selling to this distributor when he's not going to retail?
Yeah.
And if you're really going to try to advance yourself to be the biggest national cultivator or, in the world, then, you should have to at least be able to see and answer these questions honestly. And then this would prevent them, we cannot close down the burner distribution system anytime soon, unfortunately, unless there's some, national shipping going on because there's just too much weed. It would bust out everybody. Would be super fucked up. So this is a way to okay, we don't want to shut it all down, but here would be your rating on your company. You get rid of your plausible deniability, maybe change the capital flows a little bit. We'll leave it there. And the DCC won't even fucking agree to that. So
crazy.
But they'll lose all the licenses. So whatever it is, I think off the cultivation side, they make over half their money and, whatever, 80-90% of those, might go away.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would go away if you did it, this way. So why they're, every time it goes up the chain, they won't, take a fucking golden bridge to retreat across. I can't understand.
Yeah. I mean, shit, these guys seem like you said, it's about money. If you got money, you can make shit happen. But unless you're not going to fill their pockets, they really don't give a shit.
Dude, those guys sit back. They got the cushiest, there's a couple exceptions. None of these motherfuckers could work for us.
Yeah.
None of the motherfucking bureaucrats in LA could work for us. I'm not talking any job, right?
Yeah.
But they're all making fucking nice, greasy 6-figure jobs doing jack shit. And they actually think they do stuff, right?
if they would have only worked a real job.
No, I actually think the best thing you could do to any of these guys, like, you know what would be a fun one? Not only get rid of the taxes, make all these motherfuckers work 1 year, right? At some job, like maybe not entry level, but like one up, whatever, assistant manager, really see how the shit works. And then they would see how dumb they were.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they're just fucking dumb as shit.
I think they know, they just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's both, yeah. They're dumb and they know and they don't care. And they don't have to care, right?
Exactly. It's not their problem.
There's no consequence. And every time, like, we brought up the LA thing a little bit, every time you go in to deal with any of these situations, it starts with nobody's going to lose their job, right? Like, that's already a given part of the equation. What do you mean nobody's going to lose their job? Yeah. Sorry to tell you, some people have to lose their job, right? Because they're incompetent. Like, out of 100 people, you think you're going to have 100 competent people? So they'll never, ever terminate anybody because, the government sector unions are really strong, and then they have built-in raises. We don't have fucking built-in raises. Yeah. So it just creates this disincentive to do anything. And then I think half the goal is to do as little work as possible and get through the day. And they really basically have no oversight, and they don't have to worry about the company failing because they just keep coming back to the well, which is the taxpayer, right?
Yeah. No, it's definitely all fucked up. Shit. So this is, I think, one of the causes, but cookies used to be one of the biggest brands in the game. What do you think happened? Like, it's not the biggest brand in the game anymore, obviously.
I'll say this. Look, and Burner came and he played our show, and I got
shout out to Burner.
Yeah, I got a lot of love for him, and look, he's the trailblazer that we all are behind. Did it lose a little bit of its cachet in California? Maybe, but you got to keep in mind they branded that out to different companies. I won't rattle them off. That maybe weren't. And he won those lawsuits, right? Yeah. And in fact, I read one of the decisions. It's a powerful. I know some people on the other side disagree with it because I've talked to different people. But if the judge was strongly on their side, but look, as an internationally recognized brand, I still think objectively, Cookies is the biggest, baddest brand on the planet. For sure. As far as California goes, just being objective, and this is not a, again, a lot of respect, everything for Burner. I just think it's lost a little bit of its shine as, new people come in the marketplace. It gets more, it gets more competitive. I mean, look, you got Team Elite, I'm going to leave someone out now. I hate fucking doing this, but you got Blem, you got Royal Key, you got, Pearl Pharma. I could go on and on. I left someone out. Obviously Connected, Alien Labs, and these other, really, great brands that have, I could name another 100. Cam. Now I'm just going to keep going. Oh, I forgot her. I love her too. Yeah. And it's good flower. But you get the point. Like, I could rattle off 30 brands. I just think it's also got more diverse and competitive. So that's part of it. And then, I think that unfortunately some of the cookie stores were under bad management, which Burner didn't really have, anything to do with. Yeah. And then that kind of, funked the name a little bit. And probably the last thing I'll say, and again, it's, anybody who's scaled knows it's a hard thing to do. They've got back to the quality control really well. But I think there was a time period where, like, just slapping a Cookie's name on anything was the easiest thing to do. Yeah. And, I think they're recovering from that. But look, if you had to say you get one international brand and, you're Joe Blow, the businessman, and you want to monetize it on the entire fucking planet, Cookies is still the best. Absolutely. Now you go to California, I think there's a lot of people that would be vying. Yeah, would be vying for that, overall position. So, again, sure, that's, kind of my general read on it.
Only reason, because to me, I'm from New York, so like Cookies was the biggest. I'm like, holy shit, coming out here, seeing the cookie stores, then even seeing the cookie store open in New York, I'm like, wow, holy shit. But he's still doing his thing, obviously out in Jamaica, they just opened up a store. So that's a huge fucking congrats on that, man, But I think that's where things are really going, like internationally. Actually, it's today. There's a free seminar today it's called Cannabis Without Borders, and it's literally just to educate people on what's going on elsewhere. Because Canada's killing it, Thailand's killing it, a bunch of places are growing exponentially.
Barcelona,
and
UK.
We're not. Yeah.
No. In fact, all our weed's getting there. We're
they all want our weed. That's it. They want our weed.
And back to where would we want to go? I would like to get, we're developing our products through our stores first, and then we're kind of getting them around California. Really great products, right? We know everybody in the industry, so we could kind of build these things. We have certain strategic advantages, but I would love to get more into that side of it, which is like setting stuff up and having our brand. It's not big enough yet. We're really well known, LAOCIE, we're getting there in San Diego and the Northern California. As far as nationally, I'm getting there, creeping in there from New York a little bit, but
For
like,
sure.
build the name bigger because we really are a local brand if we're just being real, and start trying to get on some of that international
Slow and steady,
action.
man.
Yeah.
But I think that's the wave because everybody wants our weed, man. We just got to find a way to get it to them.
That's never going to change. That's you know what's could be crazy? Like we could be 10 years from now and California is controlling the whole weed game, except we all are suffering in California. Like
100%.
like that.
Everyone's smoking our weed, but it's still shitty as fuck over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the big advantage of starting in California. So like, this is just a birthright. And yeah, it sucks. Policy sucks. Everything's bad. But like, I wouldn't want to start in any other state. Like, God bless New York. It's not put down. Or let's make it even more extreme. God bless Colorado. We ain't taking no fucking Colorado weed ever into California. Maybe there'll be one day, like some one-off grower that everybody's like, great.
This is the guy,
Yeah, weed only travels east unless you're going to Asia. Then it travels west. That's just a fucking fact, right? And so there's never going to be, I don't think anything that's ever going to be compared to California culture and weed. It will just never happen.
Never. And I come from not California, so to come here and now be immersed into the culture, there's nothing like this anywhere else. The lounges, the events, just the quality in general, like you don't get this anywhere else. There's you can go get weed anywhere.
What a fucking shame too. Like, look, we still have great events. We still do super cool shit. Still have great fucking customers and relationships and brands. But what a fucking shame that the industry as a whole and the best place in the world that will remain the best place in the world, I'm confident, for the next 100 years, right? For cannabis, is doing the worst as far as the industry. What a sad statement on the policy.
It is a shame. Shit, I had something that I was gonna say. Flew right out of my head. But
International, California,
internationally, yeah.
East Coast, New York.
It'll come back. If it's important, it'll come back.
We used to sell I can't think of the name right now. What was that one that gets you a little sour diesel?
Okay.
We used to just grow that indoor just because we had a New York guy.
Bro, shit was, that was the only thing I think was on the streets for a long time in New York. Got that sour. That's all you would hear. You're walking by, got that sour. All right, go.
I like that OG mellow, right? I'm a nighttime. I don't like smoking much really during the day, but I don't know why that sour diesel of any strain, because I don't like to be hyped up like that because I'm hyperactive. So like New Yorkers, it kind of fits with the culture, I think, right? But it's kind of faded away. But there was like a solid 5 years that like, if you had good sour diesel,
that's it.
The New York guys were taking it.
For sure. They probably still would if they saw a nice batch of sour diesel. It's ingrained in us,
I feel like the OG did that a little bit. I feel like OG's making a comeback a little bit.
It definitely is.
Maybe that's just because I wanted to make a comeback.
I think a lot of people wanted to make a comeback. It's not just you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
People are tired of all these candies. They're really like, we need more OGs. And I agree. We do need more OGs.
To each their own, however they grow it, whatever you like, whatever works for you is always, like if, everybody's got a different, whatever the fuck you say it, endocannabinoid system.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I do think the candy thing is, I never like candies. I just don't like I just don't like the high from them.
Yeah.
People have talked so much shit on it. I think it almost inevitably has to, kind of cave a little bit. And then it always goes, it's like style anyway, right? Like hype and style. Think about most things that were like cool in the 70s and 80s. Some of them have come back. Some of them have not. OG's kind of, I don't think OG's going anywhere. It's the black tuxedo.
It's a staple, man.
It's the black tuxedo of weed, right?
Absolutely.
It's not going anywhere.
Absolutely. And I don't know much about this, but I see it up here. Did you guys have anything with True Leaf? Was there
oh man, it's so funny. I was just about to be gag ordered, and these motherfuckers reneged on the deal.
Ah shit.
Let me. I got to think about how I'm gonna roll this one out. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll tell you the story, and then I will. I have some interesting information that I may or may not share. So and then I'm wondering if this settlement that fell apart is confidential. This is, like I said, everything's an open book until I get into like tapping the time, but I think I'll be able to get out. So this is what happened. We bought a dispensary in Grover Beach, and it was their dispensary.
Okay.
It was a Harvest, and then it was a True Leaf. So they were just giving it away. So we got it for 31 grand, licensing renewal. They wanted to dump the property for 900K. All they wanted to say is we're going to be out of the state by the end of the quarter. I'm like, this is great. All right, we're down. So someone brought it to me. There was like 6 days to go. I was like, I closed an escrow in 6 fucking days. That's what I used to do.
Shit.
Okay. So we buy the property for 900, flip the property out for $1.2 million. So we're in a good spot, decent rent, whatever. And we get the license for 31K. So we're already in the black. So it's a fucking great deal. So anyway, what they did, unbeknownst to us, is they filed for that big 280E refund where they got $100 million. Grover Beach is part of that. So they pop our property for a 280E refund, which is like, I don't know, I think it totaled like $600-700K.
Okay.
This is like a little dispensary. It's not our
bread and butter.
yeah, it's not our highest earner in fact, it might be the bottom couple in the whole footprint, right? So so they take the tax thing, and we're like, what the fuck? So then we like get in a hold of the IRS, and we're trying to figure out what it is. They're like, we're about to mail you a check. And I'm like, great. So the check's going to go, the name of the company's 805 Beach Break, because that's what it was originally in Harvest Truly, but we've all owned shares in that company.
Okay.
So we're like, great, the check's going to go to us. They can't cash it. These motherfuckers somehow, probably from an old bank account, cashed the fucking check, took the fucking money.
Crazy.
So now we're pounding on them for like a year. Like, what the fuck? Give us our fucking money, right? Oh, you got an indemnity. We're going to give you an indemnity. An indemnity, what the fuck good is your indemnity if you lose $140 million on a tax case? Like, I wouldn't take an indemnity from any cannabis company, right? So, anyway, long story short, like, they won't answer us. And it's like, okay, we're not going to be ignored. We're going to sue. Give us our fucking money.
Yeah.
So we sue. This is where I'm going to have to be careful. And I thought we had an arrangement. So we come to an agreement that comes with me not saying anything about them again, but I haven't signed that yet. and then they fucking squelched on the fucking deal, right? Long story short, we were gonna have them. I think I could say this. We were gonna have them put some money in escrow. Okay. And then they wanted a bond. We need a bond. You can't get bonds anymore. They're 1-to-1. I'm like, it's not gonna work, right? You guys said you had it, no problem, whatever. And then there was like a little settlement piece to it. So, like, after deciding on it, this is like a little over a month ago, so it's pretty hot, fresh topic. In fact, we just told them to fuck off and paid for the arbitration like 4 days before I'm here, right? So, whatever. It seems to me like they squelched on the settlement, so now we're battling it out. It's in arbitration, but there's going to be a cross complaint that is going to probably be outside arbitration.
Okay.
We're going to go after the guy who filed the return, who's pretty high up over there, and that's not something that's arbitration. And so I have the letter that I got from the IRS, their 280E letter, and so I was like teasing it out a little bit on Instagram, and I was kind of fucking with them a little bit. And they're freaking out that I'm going to disclose that. And they're like, oh, you signed an NDA. And we're like, fuck you. Yeah. You wouldn't give us that letter in discovery. You wouldn't let us get it from the IRS. We had to finally fucking get it because we're paying tax on that account. And it clearly says in the NDA, if we obtained it through a third party, I can disclose it, right? So we've been going around and around whether I should disclose this or this other fact I happen to know or whatever. So it is a live ball, but these motherfuckers shady as fuck. They took the money. They cashed the fucking check. They ignored us for a year. We sued them. Then we came to a settlement, and then they basically squelched on the settlement.
How does that even work, though? Like, can't the court hold them up to whatever the fuck the agreement was?
Well, so we were on a Zoom call.
Gotcha.
I was on a heater, too. I'm calling them everything in the book, right?
Okay.
And then we get down to the settlement part. Like, okay, whatever. Be pragmatic. I'll throw something at you at the end, right? And my lawyer's always just like, bro, you got to, like, what are you doing? And so, I throw something out there. And I'm going to go on vacation to Alaska, first vacation in 5 years. And I'm like, I'm leaving in 48 hours. You motherfuckers better say yes in 40 hours. And frankly, I hope you say no. I'd love to fucking drag you. Like, it's a good case. Like, you motherfuckers, it's a punitive damage case. Like, I'll drag you all over the fucking place. You stole my money. We call this conversion, right? And fraud and all sorts of other shit. How the fuck did you cash it? I hope you say no, motherfucker. I hope you say no. That's how I ended the call. Like, literally, I don't give a fuck. And so, sure as the day is long, they say yes. Okay, good. So then we're putting together the settlement agreement. And then this new element, where they want a bond, right? It's like, no, that wasn't the deal. You're going to put the cash in. Like, if you want to get a bond, fine, get a bond. But if you can't get a bond, sign that you're going to put the cash in. Yeah. So they wouldn't do any of that. They're just fucking assholes. I was like, bro, we made a deal. Fuck off. Yeah. So then, like, the arbitration was, we had to pay the arbitrator. I had to pay $20K to the arbitrator to, like, do the arbitration. So now I've thrown the $20K at the arbitrator. It's on. So we send them all the discovery, send them all the deposition notices. Like, fuck you. Absolutely. Deals off. Like, let's go. Yeah. So that's where it sits. Crazy. Right now. So, like, technically I'm not gagged yet, but because that might be part of the deal, I won't say the last little couple things that I probably could say, but that's generally the True Leaf story in a nutshell. But they fucking stole our money. And then they filed a fucking 280E on a thing they were selling. They knew it. Then they got a fucking check without their name on it, right? The only way they cash that check, my guess is they have, this is speculation, this part, they have an old bank account. Like, you sell a company, you're going to keep the bank account. Yeah. So in order to cash that check, somebody had to sign it as the owner. I'm going to get that shit eventually through discovery, right? Like, you can't do that. And we were emailing them the whole time. That's crazy. Like, don't cash it. Where is it? We were trying to stop payment and get it from the IRS. Totally ignored us. That's crazy. Then all of a sudden they want to sit down and talk. Okay, so then we made a deal, and now they're fucking ignoring us again. Damn.
Well, I hope they get what's coming to them. That's all I'll say.
Honestly, I wasn't like, I wasn't blustering when I was like, I don't care if you motherfuckers settle this or not. I honestly don't care.
Absolutely.
Like True Leave to me is like, whatever. I don't know them well. I try my best to not, not judge from a distance too hard, because I am sensitive to that happening sometimes. Like, bro, you don't even know what you're saying right now about our shit, right? Like, I'll look at I'll be like, that's not. I don't even know how to respond to that. It's so far from the truth. But they do seem like they won those licenses in quite the shady way. They got some shady practices going on, all stuff from a distance. So they seem like a fun one to drag. I always say it's, if you're gonna pick your enemies or people that you're gonna go against, you got to be real careful with how you do it. But True Leave seems like a kind of a fun one.
Good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Speaking of that, it sounds like you are involved in real estate. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so I got licensed up in 2004, and I was like a sales agent, and then like kind of 05, 06 started flipping houses. I used to just go out and show housewives, do the whole fucking dance and everything.
Okay.
And then I started liking the flipping side a lot better. So I didn't have any perspective. I got in 2004. I was like, oh, this shit just goes up 20% a year. They give you 100% mortgages. Your appraiser will bring in any fucking appraisal. So I actually like had a pretty good little run in my 20s, and then when the market crashed in 08 was late 07 really, I got full busted out. Like, lost everything I had, house in foreclosure, fucking filed bankruptcy, the whole fucking deal, right? Probably walked from like 10 million and fucking, because I just kept like buying more and more and more, thinking like, oh, I'll just get 100% loan on this, 100% loan on that. And as long as I can make the payment because I got a big enough loan on this, like it'll just keep going up. And then if I have enough, then I'll make, but eventually I hadn't seen a cycle because I was like 20 with 04, whatever, 25, 26. So that's when I met my wife. I'm dead broke. My house is in foreclosure, just filed bankruptcy. Then I met my wife, and I was like, all right, what are we going to do here, right? So, and then from there, we found out we were pregnant with our daughter. So I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. So we started doing foreclosures. I just flipped the game.
Okay.
So we bought a lot of house off the steps of Norwalk and Pomona at the courthouse, right? And so, that became a pretty good little hustle for us. I think we did like 130 one year. Like, as we got going, people were like, oh, these guys know what they're doing. We got pretty good at it. And then that all kind of died down. That's actually how I got back into weed.
Okay.
So then that was like dying down because like the Black Rocks and the Blackstones, they started buying them up to keep. The margins were getting sweaty.
That shit's so crazy. That blew my mind.
They were back then doing it. Now it's like on everybody's radar, but they started taking all the margin out of the deals. And like, we were in it to flip it. We didn't have like that kind of staying power to hold it. But we even said at the time, like, bro, they were selling houses in fucking Compton, Lancaster, like $100,000. Yeah. Like, bro, you could have like, this is like no brainer shit if you had a bankroll, right?
For sure.
And so we just kept, turning over the money and flipping them. But, by 2013, that game was getting pretty hard. So these guys would bang on me like every year about like, find me a property, keep growing weed, come on. And like, they were not, whatever, good at growing weed, some of them or whatever, but not necessarily the most business savvy. So then by 2013, it was like, bro, I'm not making what I was making. Like, things are slowing down. It was getting super like, dude, this shit looks like we're going to be fine if something happens. Like, we'll have a defense. Nobody's going to jail, right? Like, whatever. It was put some scripts together and go. So we did, a couple little 20 lighters and then, built it from there. So I was in real estate only from like 04 to 13, busted out in 08 and then did pretty fucking good. In fact, a lot of the investors I have today, the little mom and pop investors, like some of these guys have been with me since 08, 09. Like, I made them a lot of, we made a lot of money together, right?
Yeah, God bless.
So then they're just, and then little by little, I think all of them actually, all of them. Some were like slow to move from get their money out of real estate into cannabis.
Okay.
But little by little,
So now they're all in cannabis.
They all came, yeah.
Wow, would you look at that?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So flipping industries completely, what's the biggest difference you would say?
There are some similarities. I will say like, they're both like high action. Look, knowing real estate too is critical because every fucking thing you do requires a piece of real estate, right?
Sure.
And so like knowing your way around that and how to close a transaction and whatever, and just the stuff you learn from like modeling debt and stuff, like, kind of super important background. I just think it happened faster. It was like high action, happened really fast. You had to get up super fucking early, check what was on it. I'd be up at like at 5. And then the bidding was like really fucking intense, right? Yeah. Like my brother would bid, the other guy would drive. I'd be like quarterback. It was just 3 of us. And then we had a bookkeeper. Like for doing that many houses, like, it was fun. I mean, I think our biggest day, normally we get, maybe a couple a week or, whatever. But, I think we took down 3 or 4, I think a couple times in a day houses, which is fucking crazy, right? We'd have like 50 in the pipe and then we just, fix them, get the guy out, hopefully take the cash. If not, we had to evict him. then we'd fix them, and then we had licensed guys that would. I used to sell them all, and then it just became too hard. Then we just throw the money back in the line. I think everything has a little bit of real estate in it. I think the other thing that is cool about that's super similar to weed. It's like it was a pioneering kind of thing, right? At least in my lifetime, maybe there was I don't think there's ever been a foreclosure crisis like that since the Great Depression. So it was all new territory. Like, how are you going to do it? How are you going to figure out like get the edge over the other guy and what was becoming a super competitive things. And you're kind of making the rules up as you go and or adjusting to the new rules that they're putting out. So I think it's super, super similar that way, that they were both pioneering, burgeoning, things. And then even today, my skill set that I developed in real estate, like, is one of the more valuable things that I hold as a, CEO. I mean, because
For sure.
every deal comes down to usually some piece of real estate, whether it's leased or bought or.
That's what I was actually just about to ask you. With the locations you have, do you own them or are they leased?
So the first few I own, because I during this foreclosure crisis, I was pretty, good, well timed. I did buy some apartments which is basically what I live off now. So in like 2010, 2011, so I traded the first, 1031 exchange for a couple of the properties. And so I own them, right? I don't jack myself. By the way, as I'm looking at portfolios, the self-dealing that people do is like, bro, stop, right? I could tell a story at the one I'm looking at now. That's like, I'm going to tell a fucking story because it's that fucking ridiculous. Gold Flora bought the property. Sorry, Lori, you did fuck up. I bought the property in Desert Hot Springs for $51 million.
Okay. Wow. Holy shit.
So what they did is they bought it for $17 million. And this is like, I've been through the MedMin shit, all of it. This is like commonplace, which is shocking to me. So they bought it for $17 million. Be generous, say they spent $15 million fixing it. So that's 32 is their base. But the company didn't buy it and benefit from it. Her husband bought it, right? Okay. Or somebody, whatever, her entity, right? And then they flipped it to this REIT. I don't want to get their name wrong, but an acronyms REIT, a cannabis REIT, for $51 million.
Okay.
So now they're paying $400,000 a month in rent. So you can't even that's why they're out of business. They got a few of those. Yeah. They got one in the San Jose Caliva one. They're paying, I might be Indian on that. I probably should leave some of this be. But everybody knows they're paying $400,000 out there. By the way, the $51 million I got off the tax records, I had a fucking, I'm like, how the fuck did this even come to be? Same thing, Adam Bierman did all the same shit. The one he had down here in Venice was the biggest offender. They bought that for like $5 million, flipped it to their REIT for, same guy signed both sides of the transaction, $16.8 million, charged themselves $168,000 a month. So you just burdened the business. Meanwhile, you're making all the fucking money. So as I dig through these portfolios, like, you think you know somebody, but when you really are digging through and doing the due diligence, like,
now you really know them.
It paints a whole, different picture of it. What was that? Well, that was a tangent. What was the original question?
Shit. Oh yeah. Do you own the properties?
Yeah.
Dispensaries. Yeah,
so then generally what we'll do, if we had as a real estate guy, the thing that fucking hurts my heart the most. So I own a couple of them with a couple other partners, but generally I just find a friendly to buy it. So I have enough real estate guys that will be a friendly and buy it. In my fantasy world, I'd set up a REIT and, we do it ourselves. Because what ends up happening is like, we're going to put $1 million in improvements in this place. And the other guy's going to get all our fucking improvements and he's going to get a greasy ass rent. And now we've licensed the property. He's doubled his money. Look, I like all these people. And, generally I'm paying like, a 10 to 12 cap on the rent. So as far as Catalyst goes, we don't own any of the real estate. Sometimes we'll buy it and then we'll flip it out usually, but we don't do like, dumb shit. Take the last one we did, Linwood. We paid $1.5 million. We probably put $1 million into it, and then we sold it for $2 million. So we paid $20,000 in rent, which I try to keep him 20 or less for sure. So but there's some wild shit out there that I've seen. But as a business, we don't own any of the real estate. If we could, if I had a $30-40 million real estate fund behind me, all day long. But we just have limited capital. So our highest and best use of capital right now is expanding the business. Yeah. But it does hurt my feelings to see some really beautiful real estate. I like the guys that it usually ends up with, but the best we can. And then sometimes we lease them. We just take what we can get. But if it's a situation where we have to buy it, generally either we'll buy it and then fix it, and then flip it to a friendly and or bring our friendly in at that point. So I got like 5 or 6 different kind of, go-to guys that all call up like, hey man, I got a piece of real estate. You want to get it, whatever. It's a super good deal for them.
So you got it figured out at this point.
Basically, but each one is kind of its own things. Yeah. There's no easy. And then, most of our landlords are actually really cool. We got 2 real cocksuckers. And the thing I've learned too, if I think the landlord's a cocksucker, I just won't do a deal anymore because they're just going to hold you hostage.
For sure.
Yeah, we got one.
A bad landlord can ruin your business. Like, it really can.
We got one that every time we renew the permit, it's just annoying. This particular city, we have to renew the permit every year. Like, we finally have stopped him. We had to sue him. Like, we sued this guy like 5 times. He wants $100,000, like on made up cams every time to sign a piece of paper. And we're like, no, fuck you, sign the paper, right? So there's that one. Another guy, it's just the worst. The other guy let the shit go into foreclosure. Crazy. We had to buy it back out of. Actually, speaking of things that we used, one of our really good dispensaries ended up in foreclosure. And it was on my radar that it was in foreclosure. So we went in, negotiated the deal, bought the note, took it all the way up to the day before sale, and then recut a deal with the original landlord. We had to do all that just to protect the property.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's extensive.
Yeah, no. So the more and more that I do it, I'm just realizing that you just don't want to get stuck with a prick for a landlord. Like, if he's a little bit of a dick or cheap, I can live with it. But you will get extorted.
For sure. So. Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard a clip of a podcast you were on recently. Do you own 25% of Cali Plug?
I don't know why that was the most fucking controversial thing I fucking said. Jesus Christ. I did post it just because I knew people were going to call bullshit. But so it's posted up on my story. But the history of that is, so I would never enforce it. Let me just say that, right? And his partner Drew, who I don't really know, was freaking out over there. And he's like, we bought it back. I'm like, well, technically you didn't. I could show you the contract. It's posted. You don't have it, right? So what happened with that was, we were messing around with Cali Plug, for a couple of years. And, actually he probably was a pretty good, it's all cool with Cali Plug. In fact, he had me up on his X Snapchat or whatever he hit me up. It's Catalyst CEO. He's making billions and trillions, how he does it. So, but, so basically what we decided was the 4 of us split that thing 4 ways and we were going to blow it up, right? Okay. The plan was to kind of just keep going. And so inevitably he got too hot. The cops robbed us. That's its own story. The fucking, every time we pop up, we were getting robbed. Someone in the streets robbed the guys that were, or attempted rob, both sides had guns. It was a whole fucking thing. Jesus. And I was like, bro, I didn't sign up for all this. I'm just a fucking suburban white boy trying to fucking hustle a little money. So I'm good. So I basically dipped. The other 2 guys dipped but not till maybe 9 months later. Right. Okay. And so then I was just I'm not a guy to take shit that I didn't really earn. Right. So, I do have the paperwork that I own 25% of Cali Plug because we signed it because we invested actually a decent amount of money to get that thing going. This is really maybe a little bit into the early days of legalization, but not that far. And then like I said, I just let it be. It was all good. I don't have no issues with Cali Plug. In fact, I actually always enjoy his company. I find the dude super entertaining.
Cool guy.
Yeah, people like to say all sorts of shit about him. I've never experienced that. Everything with me has always been up and up. We did good business. We left on good terms. If anybody dipped, it was me, right? Yeah. Right. I was just bro, I'm good. I'm good. And I was super cool about it. I was like, you guys chop my 25% up 3 ways. I'm not taking anything. And then his Cali Plug kind of made I guess he's always been there, but he kind of resurfaced in my life. I was like, you know what? I bet you I still got that fucking document somewhere. For sure. So just for fun, I pulled it out. And then the story came up on First Smoke. I saw him post it and I was like, you know what? I better go dig that out. Just to fucking it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but it's a real thing. But again, like I said, always been cool to me. I don't feel like I own 25% of his brand. I just happen to have legal paperwork stowed away that says I do. But funny enough, I just thought that was a fun story to tell about some shit we did in the past and whatever. I don't get too into the fucking Mamba Basement guys that really have no idea what's going on commenting. But the Cali Plug shit lit everybody up, and I'm like, bro.
I just had to ask because we had him on, and he's a character for sure. So it's cool to see.
He's by the way, he's like that. Go eat dinner with him. He's fucking like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, there was nothing fake about that. That's him. You know, for sure. So it was cool to see, just hear that. Just to even what did you just say?
Most guys, online a little bit. If you're eating a dinner or whatever, and these different guys that you meet that they take it down a notch maybe, or it's just a little more. He's always turned on. Yeah. To me, he's a super interesting guy. And then a few years back, before we kind of or whatever, people are like, Cali Plug saying you robbed his hustle, you took his game. And I was like, man, I never thought about that at all, because that would have never crossed my mind. But if you really think about it, I probably did subconsciously learn a lot from watching him move, because he was the face. And, you know, he was out there on Instagram and we were selling, it was, you know, weight, but we were selling fire weed at fire prices. That was his whole hustle, right?
Absolutely.
And back then, like the good candies we were getting, you know, and the purples were like 18-ish. So we had to like work to get him at, you know, 16 so that he could, you know, we could still make a couple bucks.
Yeah, for sure.
This motherfucker, I'm just going to tell you right now, that dude is a sensation.
Oh,
He's lined him up. I'm not going to say too much other than like, there was a 420 one year. I never, like, no 420 we ever had will ever be like that. The event we did at the Orange Show right before it sunsetted, I never seen nothing like that. Like the dude has a following.
He does. People love him.
And he brings it and he's
no bullshit. He's the most watched episode on our podcast till this day. Like, and it keeps going up every day on YouTube. I'm like, wow, people love this guy.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. And to build that many followers, in this era of weed following, you know, is in that much engagement is super fucking hard. Yeah. So like, you know, shout out to him. Like, look, he's still doing his, still doing his thing. And like I said, we ended on good terms. I don't have anything all positive, you know, for me. But, you know, it was interesting to, you know, he's getting a little like bashed up in the comments. And I'm like, I'm not here to like defend him per se, but like y'all motherfuckers don't know any of this. You just,
that's the one thing about the internet, bro. The internet's going to do what the internet does regardless. So you just got to let it do its thing, you know?
Sometimes like, I'll be like, okay, I could see how that rumor started about me or Catalyst or whatever. There's like 10% truth. And then there's other ones you're like, where did that even
crazy shit
come from?
Some guy I don't even know was apparently commenting on like posts saying that I go around saying I own Kush stock. I'm like, why would I ever say that? Like,
but you see shit like that, and you're like, what do I even? My wife's my biggest defender. Like, I generally am busy and ignore it. Like, and I don't actually. I mostly admit I'll scroll a little bit and I go to a few pages, but I actually don't scroll that much just because it's a time thing, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, whatever. If I do my first smoke, you know, episode and I'm on there, I will go on that page and read the comments, right? But I generally don't get too. Like, of course, everybody wants to be, you know, on some level, like, but when you really realize, like, if this dude was sitting across from me at the table, like, I would be laughing right now, right?
Absolutely.
He's got some emoji for a handle. He's never done dick in his entire fucking life. He doesn't know shit about anything, right? But the internet is like a safe place for the fucking biggest losers on the planet. Sorry if this is an offensive thing to say, that are fucking jerking it in their mama's basement to like chime in, and they don't even have a clue. And then it's like, bro, go walk in my shoes. And I don't say that in the fucking whatever unhumble way. Go walk in my shoes and then tell me what the fuck you would do and how you would play it. And I always say the guys that are commenting the most would be the scummiest, most sellout, fucking whatever their fucking fake lines in the sand that they, you know, make. It's real easy to have an ideological purity when the best you're gonna do is smoke a joint in your mama's basement in the morning and one at lunch and hope that fucking your mom brings you the fucking meatloaf. Like, just stop, right? So that's it. Yeah.
It's true. No, it's very true. That's why, I see it sometimes. I don't give a fuck about it, you know, because people are going to be people regardless. They're going to say what they want. Just let them say what they want. Just be good, you know? That's all you can do is know you're solid and let the people talk.
As long as the people around you know you're solid and, like, the people you do business with, like, they're going to know, like, whatever. That's not true. It is always curious, to your point, like, you own Kush stock or whatever. There was one somebody sent me, I'm paying San Diego. This is just like whatever, a few days ago, so it's fresh in my mind. I'm paying San Diego social equity applicants $10,000 a month, and I'm like, dude, they're not even going to do social equity anymore in San Diego. They killed it, and I was never paying any applicants. And like, I don't even know, like,
where does it come from?
You're so wrong on so many levels, right? Like, they shut all that down. Like, you know, whatever. It was, if they would have done it, maybe we would have done something. So I always just wonder, like, how did that story even get into your head? Like, some you could see, like, this might be a bad game of telephone. Like, it didn't quite happen like that. It really happened like this, but, you know, whatever. And then I've just learned, like, you know, if somebody's like being reasonable and they're on my page and they're commenting, hey, I'll try to administer my page and, you know, like and write back. But if you're just being like, you know, you don't even want to get into a debate, you know, then it's like, all right, I can't go there with you. But like, if you're more than welcome to, like, you know, take the glass house thing. Say I'm snitching. It's a fair opinion. I could live with that, right? So, you know, I'm more than willing to respond. Well, this is why I think it's not, whatever it is. But like, you know, the stuff that's just like ridiculous. It's like, I can't. What am I going to write? What am I going to write back?
How do you respond to that? Yeah.
I don't give social equity, you know, or whatever. Or it's like, you know.
Excuse me, Sam. No.
I heard one where I was like in business with Josh, who has a lab, and we were, you know, I've heard one, we were selling illegal leaders. By the way, that guy would never do anything ever. And then we were like in the cartridge business together, and I'm like, you know, but like, what's the point in correcting it, right? Just leave it be. Yeah,
That's it. Obviously, it might be a little early to call, but do you ever see this being like a family business? Do you want your kids to maybe join you in this as they get older?
It'd be cool if look, for my kids, all I want them is to find something they're passionate about and go hard on it. Like, I don't care what they do. I don't care if they go to college or they don't go to college. I don't care if they fucking decide that they, you know, want to be whatever, a paleontologist or a nurse. It doesn't matter. As long as you find something you're passionate about it. It'd be great if it could be a family business, but I'm giving it to the person most qualified. Like I always say, like, I would never give this shit to one of my kids if they weren't, you know, ready for it. I might have a few. We'll see. You know, you're checking out the crop of talent that you might be raising. But, you know, my guess is if it did get passed down, they would have to, you know, they're not next in line, right? There would be at least one step and then another step, and they got to pay their dues and so on and so forth. And if I don't think they could do it, ain't no fucking way I'm handing the fucking thing over, the keys over, just to, you know, just to do it. They can get the benefit of it and watch from the sidelines and or, you know, keep it moving. But, you know, I vacillate on it. When I first started Catalyst and Weed for the People, you know, I had the I'm never going to sell no matter what mentality. I would say I still kind of lean that way, but not, I'm way more open-minded to, you know, who the fuck knows what's going to happen. And it'd be pretty sad to take a 0 or an L on this. So, you know, we'll see where it goes. You know, if everything goes according to plan and we could keep, you know, moving east and do this thing, I'd love to do it. Again, if my kid's the most qualified, I still think you got to be, even just speaking from my own life experience, you probably got to be at least, you know, mid-30s, early 40s to really hold it down. So we got a couple of really good youngsters, or really a lot of really good youngsters, but, you know, some that would be, you know, in so much as I was like, all right, fuck this. By the way, I don't think I'd ever leave it be. I just would. For sure. I would just work less, right? I'd still think I'd come in and sprinkle around. I just like doing deals and shit too, Absolutely. Right? But, you know, they would be first in line. And then, you know, from there, who knows? If one of my sons was, if it was close, really, really close, maybe he'd get a little bit of nepotism. But short of that, fuck that, man. Weed for the People got to live on with or without my bloodline, right? Absolutely. I love that. If there's one last thing you want people to know from Elliot, what would it be? One last thing. I don't know, man. Look, I'll just say this to what you said earlier. The best we can, we're just trying to be good corporate citizens and do our thing in this industry. Like, you know, I'm a hustler at heart, like to make a little bit of money. But, you know, always try to balance that with just being a decent person, you know, treating our brands really good, treating our workers really good, treating our communities really good. That's what we're trying to be about. That's really, you know, coming full circle on, you know, even though Weed for the People's off the cuff, you know, that's what it means to me. Just, you know, whatever, taking care of the people the best we can. And we never want to, you know, lose track of that no matter how big we get. And I'm very cognitive as we get bigger. Always got to, you know, stay grounded and stay in touch. But, you know, that's it. Just try to be for the people and about the people, whether it be the brands, the people you're allied list, even people that you're in competition with. You know, we're pretty friendly with them. For sure. Our frontline workers and our customers, that's what we're trying to be about. God bless. And where can the people find you? Social media? Do you have a website? Yeah, Catalyst CEO is my handle. I'm starting to fuck around a little bit on X so I don't get my account fucking disabled and I got to pay some guy to get it back again. All my handles are Catalyst CEO. I got one that's a meme page, but if I'm being real, another guy does most of the administering on it. Okay. And then our website's catalystcannabis.co. We just bought the .com though. It was up. Okay. Somebody took it for sale, tried to hostage us. We played it pretty well. We got I think we paid $1,300 for the domain. So not so bad. We might switch it over, but right now it's. You got to correct that. It's actually we bought the Catalyst Cannabis without the dash in the middle. Oh, is that what? We've always had .com. Oh, we took the dash. All right, there you go. See, he doesn't have mic, so I don't even fucking get this shit right. But yeah, we used to be Catalyst-Cannabis.com. Now we're Catalyst Cannabis, or we're gonna try and make it so both go there. But that's basically it. You know, my IG's Catalyst CEO. That's where I do most of my shit. You know, I'm on LinkedIn a little bit. It's just under my name. And then our website's catalystcannabis.com. There's not really much else other than the stores themselves. Beautiful. Check it out. Well, if you've never been to a Catalyst, definitely go check them out. If you have been to a Catalyst, keep on supporting. You know, we appreciate you with your voice in the industry. We definitely need people to speak up for us because like we said in the beginning, people don't say shit. So thank you for that, and thank you for your energy coming out today. And, man, it's been a hell of an episode. No, I appreciate you having me on. My pleasure coming out, and thank you for your voice and doing all this. So, you know, little by little, people can learn a little bit more about what's really going on. That's it. That's all it is, educating the people, you know. Well, that's it for today's episode. Go check us out. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your mother, your brother, your sister. We're on all platforms, and the support really does help, so we really do appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. Weed for the People. That's it. I just had the bluest dream that you've ever seen, and I can't believe that shit was green, cause it hits so clean, and my history is a mystery. I don't give a fuck, I just hit the tree on a 5th degree. We don't pit for free. If you don't got 5 shit, get up and leave.